Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all things Manchester United, the latest Manchester United news. We're going to have an update on Ayden Heaven. You might have seen from the thumbnail there. There's a bit of an update, so we'll be getting into that. Just exactly what is the time frame for him coming back into the Manchester United team. We can have it a little bit clearer now. Plus, we've got a few transfer rumours as well. United scouting players. United looking at players to bring in the summer. We know we need reinforcements. We desperately need strengthening in the Manchester United squad. Don't know how much money we're going to have, but we wait and see. Also, there should be a little bit about the stadium as well. Stadium developments looks like they're moving forward. 100,000 seater stadium is in the pipeline, so we'll have a little bit more on that too. So make sure you are hitting that like button, please. Loads of people in the chat already. Stu Campbell, Santa Notch is there. Santa Notch first on there. Well done, Santa Notch. Colin Coupleditch, Adam Booth, Akash K. Chris Smith says, morning Jay, how's Ronnie after his 15-minute cold? That cracked me up. That cracked us all up. Destino Portugal says, bon dia from Portugal. Bon dia to you as well. And Glenn F is there as well. Santa Notch says, do we get a prize? You do. You get a free subscription to the channel for life. Right, let's talk about this. So we start with the stadium then. We'll get into the Ayden Heaven thing in a minute. But the new stadium, the UK government wants to crack on with a 100,000 seats venue, says Lisa Nandy. So Lisa Nandy is part of the government, obviously, she's in the cabinet, says the UK government are really keen to crack on to get Manchester, scroll down a little bit there, to crack on to get Manchester United's new stadium off the ground, and are confident the new 100,000 seater project will go ahead. Earlier this month, United confirmed plans to leave Old Trafford and move to a new 100,000 seater stadium, which would be the largest in the UK. The new stadium, which follows United's minority shareholder Jim Ratcliffe's desire to build a Wembley of the North, will be, yeah, we know all this, don't we? So basically, you can see here the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy, said of the project, it's a moving feast at the moment, but we are impatient to get the economy growing again and get projects like this off the ground. We're not wasting a minute. The Chancellor, Business Secretary and I have been in discussions and we're really keen to crack on. Manchester United have made their own plans and satisfy their own investors. What we have to do as a government is maximise the benefits of projects like this for the communities that they serve. There you go, you can take it off now, bro, thank you. Look, there's been a lot of aganda about this, about the fact that taxpayers' money is going to go towards this project. I think the actual stadium itself is going to be funded by investment by Manchester United, but the infrastructure, things like that, the surrounding area, there is going to be taxpayers' money spent on it, so people are a little bit like, hang on a minute, why should we, the taxpayer, be paying for something, especially non-United fans, paying for Manchester United? I think this is kind of what happens with a lot of stadiums though. Like, infrastructure around a stadium doesn't always come from the actual club, especially if it's things like transport links as well. That can come from whether that's local authorities or local government or the government itself. So I understand that, and I also understand frustrations when you see headlines like taxpayers' money is going to be spent on Manchester United. You think, well, why should it be? And even as a United fan, that leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because I'm like, well, what? But if it is redeveloping an area, redeveloping transport links as well, then I get it. Andy Burnham's obviously heavily involved. Seb Coe, I think, is involved as well. Must, I think, have been involved in this sort of task force. Gary Neville's, a lot of people involved in this. We've seen the plans, we've seen the designs, the whole Trident thing. Now you have to wait and see just how long it's going to take, what is the next move. Obviously, the government are keen to push this. I was watching PMQs a few weeks ago, because I'm that interested, where the Prime Minister was talking about Old Trafford. He was saying that as an example of the growth of the economy and all the rest of it. So you think they want to make it happen. So Jim Ratcliffe wants to make it happen, obviously, sooner rather than later. Akash K says, government needs GDP and the stadium adds 7 billion to it. My question is, do investment banks really approve more debt, considering how much debt we earn? Kieran Maguire was on the channel talking about that, talking about us being in more debt. That does make you sort of worried, doesn't it? It gives you pause for thought. Manchester United, what, $1 billion in debt a minute? Being in more debt. We know where most of the debt has come from, if not nearly all of it. It's the Glazers. The Glazers have ploughed us into debt. We were profitable when they took over, and we've been in debt ever since, and huge amounts of debt as well. Can we afford to get in more debt? Well, the powers that be obviously think we can, and we'll have to wait and see whether they're right or not. Hopefully they are, because the last thing I'd want to see is Manchester United struggling for the next decade or next 20 years or whatever it is. It really is a bit frustrating, the way the club has been run. Let me know what you think about the new stadium, what you think about the way it's being funded. I'm interested in your thoughts, because it's weird, isn't it? We all, well, not everyone, but I actually want a new stadium. I think it's a positive move. I love Old Trafford, but I do feel like there's only so many times you can revamp and redevelop a stadium that is basically 100 odd years old. However, you do want Manchester United to not sort of put themselves or put ourselves in so much debt that we're struggling forever. And you also don't want to get into this sort of thing where people are sort of, or the club is in sort of hot to the government, where we're relying on the government for everything. The club should be self-sufficient. We should be able to build the stadium, but obviously the transport links is something different. Let's talk about Ayden Heaven. Ayden Heaven, this is from the Met Show. This is from the Met Show, and I think we scratched beneath the surface. I'll run through it and then I'll explain it to you. So it says Ayden Heaven was back at United's training base at Carrington without wearing a protective boot, with hope the defender can be available again soon after the international break. Heaven 18 has enjoyed an impressive run in the first team in recent weeks, starting his first Premier League game against Leicester City on Sunday evening. The former Arsenal youngster was perhaps United's best player in the opening 45 minutes, but was left in real discomfort as he was stretchered off the pitch in the second half. It says about the injury wasn't even shown. I think is this Mark Ogden in the Metro? In fact, I've got it here in front of me. Yeah, Tony sorry, not Mark Ogden. Tony Mogan. This is in the Metro, and I think here you can see he's quoting Laurie Whitwell. We're gonna have Laurie Whitwell on the channel later on today, so we'll get a bit more detail from him. But he says here, in a further boost of the Athletics, Laurie Whitwell reports Heaven is already back at Carrington, no longer wearing the protective boot. I don't think it's as bad as feared, Whitwell told the Talk of the Devils podcast. He was seen walking out without the protective boot on no crutches. I've been told he has been at Carrington without the protective boot. So you surmise from that it's not going to be too long after the international break that he returns, hopefully. Now, I said this the other day about Heaven. I said, like, he's essential to us. And people go, oh, well, not people, there's like one person who's like, how can you say he's essential? He's only just made his full Premier League debut. He's not essential. But you look at the injuries we've got already. Lisandro Martinez is out for the season. Now, I remember when we signed Ayden Heaven and Finn spoke about him, and the reason that he was leaving Arsenal and what United had sort of sold the project, if you can call it that, to him as. And it was this idea that he's going to be cover for Lisandro Martinez this season. He's going to get games this season. That was one of the reasons that Finn believed Ayden Heaven was keen to come to Manchester United, because obviously he was at Arsenal, he'd had a few minutes, and been in the squad, played in pre-season, but the idea was that he could come to United and he wasn't that far off the first team. He's come into the first team, he's done very well. He started the Sociedad game. Don't forget, the Sociedad game was a vital game for Manchester United. That second leg against Real Sociedad, we had to win that, because if we lost that, that was the season over, basically, wasn't it? What we're playing for, to finish mid-table. So that was a vital game, and he started that, which shows the manager had some faith in him, had some trust in him, and that he's an important player for Manchester United. He then starts against Leicester as well, has a very, very good performance in that first half and the beginning of the second half before he gets injured. So I do think that whilst people may look at it and go, this is a kid that's barely played for United, how can we start looking at him like he's vital to us and so important? Look at the last couple of games that he has played, and look at the injuries we've got, look at the other players available, and look at the performances that Heaven has put in. And I do think that he is a very important player for Manchester United. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Kevin Rees says, when London's Olympic Stadium was built for 2012, now West Ham's ground, the East End of London also underwent massive regeneration at government taxpayer expense. Going back to the stadium point there, that's a very good point. That, yeah, if you look at the area around there, East London, then obviously the government's involved in that. That stadium gets used by the by West Ham. Also, City's ground was the Commonwealth Stadium at first, wasn't it? So I don't think Manchester City paid for that stadium to be built. It was for the Commonwealth Games, and then they moved in. So we see a lot of this all the time. Stephanie Griffiths makes a great point. 100 likes ASAP, please. People, please hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the stadium, what you think about Ayden Heaven, how important is it. Let us know about anything. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Mark Marsh says, Heaven is also bringing out the best in Dorgu. That's a very good point. Let's talk about transfers. So here's one for you. Is it Nmecha? Yeah. So this is a story here. Where's this from? Is this the Mail? Yeah. I can tell by the format there. It says Manchester United are keen on signing Borussia Dortmund star Felix Nmecha, according to reports. The Red Devils will be looking to freshen up their squad during the summer after a largely disappointing campaign in Ruben Amorim's season at the club. United were linked with a potential move for Amorim's former Sporting Lisbon star Giovanni Kender. However, they've been beaten to the punch by Chelsea. Now it's emerged that United have turned their attention to Germany and are chasing in inverted commas, a potential deal for Dortmund star Nmecha, according to Bild. As it stands, the German Giants are set to miss out on a place in the Champions League next season and will be forced to part ways with at least one of their stars. This could play into United's favour, who are keen on signing the 40 million rated defensive midfielder during the summer window. So, don't know a lot about this lad, just from what I've been sort of reading up this morning, but he's got a few caps for Germany. Also, started off at Manchester City. Was his youth career started off there. City to Dortmund. We've heard that one before, haven't we? I mean, we can't put us off everyone. So, look, one to keep an eye on. The United are going to be linked with a lot of players over the next few weeks, next few months, and in the summer, obviously. We know we need to strengthen. The big question is how much money have we got to spend. Don't expect this to be like a mad spending spree like we saw in Erik ten Hag's 2 seasons at the club. We spent quite a bit of money during that period, didn't we? I don't think we're going to be doing that. I think we do have to sell to buy to a certain degree as well. Maybe we'll dip into the free transfer market too. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think. Speaking of free transfers, players who are out of contracts, I think Jonathan David is one. So this is in the Evening News. Now, we've been linked with Jonathan David. He's out of contracts in the summer, as you can see there. It says in the article, and it says here, Lille striker Jonathan David has admitted he hopes to play in the league in the future, despite stressing he remains open about his future ahead of the expiry of his contract this summer. United are set to strengthen their attacking options in the summer window, and David is a prolific striker who will be available to move to Old Trafford on a free transfer. We've been linked with him quite a lot. Now, I think this is going to rumble on until he signs a new deal or moves somewhere else, because he's been banging in the goals. We were linked with Jonathan David about 2 or 3 years ago. Since then, he's carried on scoring goals. Now, the fact that United are skin and he's a free transfer makes me feel like there might be something in this if United can get him over the line, or want to bring him in even and get him in without paying him ridiculous amounts of money for his wages. The quote here, it says, "To be honest, I think I can adapt to every league. Every league has their differences. I think the Premier League is a lot faster and more physical than all the other leagues. But I grew up watching a lot of La Liga. I wouldn't say that would be my preferred league, but I think that's a league that I enjoyed watching the most. I think one day I would like to play there, but will that happen? I don't know. I'm not opposed to anything, and we'll just see what the future takes us, or where the future takes us, sorry." It's a bit wishy-washy, that statement, isn't it? It's not really saying anything. I mean, he's not saying he's going to play in La Liga. He's not saying he even particularly wants to go there straight away. He's saying he wouldn't mind playing there in the future, but he doesn't know if he will. So I don't think you can hang your hat on that statement, to be honest with you. It's very much a player giving an interview and just talking in generalisations. I used to watch La Liga. It was always entertaining. We'll have to wait and see whether Manchester United really do go for Jonathan David, but we do need a striker. We desperately need a striker. We had agree or disagree yesterday where we were making our cases for which position is the most important, and Chelsea, I think, said the striking position. We had a vote, and I think about 46% of people that voted agreed with her, saying that the striking position, or the striker, is the most important position for the priority position that United needs to strengthen in. I know Rasmus Højlund obviously broke his goal drought the other day, but I think there's still a few question marks there. Joshua Zirkzee is not an out-and-out striker, is he? He's more of a 10. So we are a bit threadbare up front. Akash K says government needs GDP. Oh, sorry. I've read that one. Oliver Klintz says, this new stadium is a joke. Looks like a circus. Yeah, I hear all that. Should we move on to the next story? So this is about a scouting mission for Hugo Ekitike. It says Manchester United are set to undergo a scouting mission. Some give me sport, as you can see there. On Friday evening, as they hunt for a new striker, according to reports, with Eintracht Frankfurt star Hugo Ekitike thought to be in their sights ahead of Ruben Amorim making a potential summer move. Goes on to sort of explain even the form, or the lack of form, of Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund. It's weird, isn't it? Because I think we can both say that Højlund and Xerxes have traits that we like. They're both relatively young. Xerxes certainly very good on the ball, quite an entertaining player to watch. Højlund, his energy and his effort is great, and in his first season he was amongst the goals, 16 goals I think in all competitions. This season though he hasn't really scored much, and even Xerxes, you might enjoy watching him, but he doesn't score goals, does he? Ekitike certainly seems like someone who would be more adept at scoring goals. I think he's got 13 so far in the Bundesliga this season. My only sort of worry about this is his breakthrough season really in terms of goals. I mean, I think if you're looking over his last, I mean, he's only a youngster, he's only 22, but if you look over the last sort of 4 or 5 seasons, he's had seasons where he scored like 4 or 5 goals, whatever. This is the season where he's really got going. Now, you could argue this is the sort of, strikers have it a lot, don't they, where they have seasons where they're not really scoring that many, but they're just sort of very young, getting minutes, sort of getting used to the pace of football, professional football and all the rest of it, and then they have a breakthrough season, and then that is it. They're up and running, and off they go. And this might be the case with Ekitike. He might be the one where he has this season at Frankfurt, he's starting to bang them in, and then, the sky's the limit, he keeps doing that. Or it might be one of those where he's in a bit of a purple patch. I don't know. I would prefer us to bring in a striker with a bit more pedigree, if I'm being brutally honest. I think we took a punt on our last 2 strikers, or our last 2 attackers in Joshua Xerxes and Rasmus Højlund, in players that aren't prolific, but have had very good seasons at their clubs. And now is this them on the cusp of just sort of becoming a goal scorer? I mean, I think with Xerxes, there wasn't much expectation he was going to be prolific, but I think we might have expected a few more goals than we've seen from him. I certainly did. I think with Højlund, you thought that maybe he could be someone who bangs in goals regularly. And there was signs of that in his first season in the Champions League, and then once he broke his Premier League duck, he went on a bit of a scoring spree. But I still don't know whether those two can step up and score you loads of goals. And Ekitike, he might be that player, he might not be though. I would rather we went for someone with a little bit more experience when it comes to scoring goals at the top level. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Wayne Davis says, morning Jay, morning my brother. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Louis Bowen says, not another young striker. We need a senior striker with pedigree. We have strikers with potential. I agree. I completely agree with that. Good to see we've got to 787,000 subscribers. Let's keep going on the subscribers count. We want to get to 800,000, and with your support we can get there. Key Buckley says Ekitike is better than Højlund and Xerxes. Well, who isn't? Oh dear. Let's talk about Antony. So we had this last night, and it's worth just reiterating because I think there's more stories on it this morning. Real Betis wants to extend Antony's loan from Manchester United until 2026. He's been very good at Real Betis. He's been getting Player of the Match awards. He's been getting goals. He's been getting assists. The fans there seem to love him. So they want to keep him, but they want to extend the loan. Now, when I saw this, I was a bit annoyed because I thought, well, if he's been that good, and it does seem like he has been that good, why don't you buy him? Why coming in with another loan? But I think if you look at the fees that could be involved in Antony, obviously United massively overpaid for him, so trying to recoup that, a chunk of that is going to be difficult. He's still on a relatively decent amount of money. I don't think he's one of the top earners at Manchester United, but he's on a decent amount of money. I think they're talking about paying a higher percentage of his wages. Is that a happy solution for Manchester United? He has been linked, I think, with Bayern Munich and with Juve. So we'll have to wait and see. It's one where the club might go, look, we just need some money in, some actual cash in, so we can buy players that we need in the summer, so another loan move doesn't sort out. Or they might go, look, just keeping more of his wages off the wage bill is in itself money coming in, so maybe that works. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. I don't see him coming back to United. I don't think that's an option. I don't think it should be. I say I like Antony. I don't think he's good enough. I like what Antony's done at Betis. And I liked him when he first arrived at United. It looked like there was a player there, but he had a woeful spell. And it just was obvious to me he wasn't the player we thought he was going to be. And it was a bit naive from Erik ten Hag to believe a player that got, 8 goals and 4 assists in his final season at Ajax was going to be able to make the step up to the Premier League. But this is where we're at. I think it's time for Antony to move on. Ideally, a permanent move. If not, maybe it's an extended loan move. Ant Elsa, spine of the team needs to be experienced. I agree with that one. We've got news of another protest. Manchester United fans group, the 1958, will take their protest against the Glazers' ownership of the club to Broadhurst Park after holding a meeting with FC United of Manchester, the original protest club formed in 2005. Protests have been held around fixtures at Old Trafford in recent years, but most recently a march to the stadium before the draw of Arsenal early this month that attracted around 5,000 supporters. Yeah, a lot of United fans were there. We were down there. You probably saw it all over our socials. Following the announcement of further price rises to season tickets this week, another protest has been announced and will take place at FC United's Broadhurst Park ground around their fixture with Stockton Town. So the protests are going to continue. There's a lot of anger and a lot of frustration what is going on at Manchester United. Both with the Glazers have always been hated by the vast majority of Manchester United fans. But I don't think Ineos are covering themselves with glory with some of their decisions as well that haven't gone down too well. So you can expect more protests. And also on this channel, you can expect us to always highlight these protests, to give a voice to 1958. We've had them in the studio. We've spoken to them at Old Trafford several times, and we will continue to do so. This is a fan channel. Let's not forget that. Thank you to everyone who got in the chat and the comments. Going to be back later on. We've got Laurie Whitwell in the studio. We're going to be chatting to him about Ayden Heaven, about what happened with Giovanni Kenda, why didn't that move happen to Manchester United, plus some other transfer stories as well. Then later on, we'll have Off the Bar 2. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Moy. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.